Good afternoon and welcome to today's edition of the Afternoon Edition. My name is Isa Nu. Today we shall be focusing on the need for one to actually put out so much advocacy when it comes to issues that bothers many of us in the country. There are so many societal problems that we have today in the country, be it from the economy, from politics, to even the word planning. And the most beautiful aspect of it is that just last week we had the former president of Nigerian Institute of Town Planners in person of Mr. Nathaniel Atebije, who celebrated his 70th birthday. For many of us who have noticed or who have actually worked with him for some time, we've noticed that, for myself, I was thinking, is this man up to 70? And just like one of the speakers spoke on that particular day, he raised question from how Mr. Nathaniel Atebije was actually carrying out his activity, most especially even on that particular day when many Nigerians gathered to actually eulogize him for attaining that particular height. Being a septuagenarian is a very tough one. But then, for you to have achieved that feat, indeed, is not something small. But at the same time, again, he was able to launch. As they say, when one gets old, sometimes they say they get tired. But in this particular case, is another case of trumpeting or transforming from one state to another. On that day, we saw the launch of the Nathaniel Atebije Advocacy Foundation for Planners, which was actually launched or unleashed to the global space for many of us who want to always be in the global space and also add our voice to what is good. But then, for the planners, it is also important that, yes, we get our city planned. But who are those actually pushing the veil to see that, yes, our planners get to the edge of it all? That is the foundation that was laid last week Friday in Shehu Musa Yar'Adua Center in person of Mr. Nathaniel Atebije, who is the founder and CEO of this particular group. We'll be having him here today in the studio to discuss with us more about the program and how has been his journey since when he left the seat of power of the president of the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners. So go on this break, and when we return, we'll get you more details about the events during the launch of the program. Surrounded by family and friends, the party was indeed a thrilling spectacle as the birthday celebrant, town planner Nathaniel Atebije, together with his amiable wife, delicately danced to the glory of God Almighty. Dignitaries at the event, including the current president of the Nigerian Institute of Town Planner, Dr. Ogbonaya Chime, the Vice Chancellor of Ahmadu Bello University, Professor Adamu Ahmed, among others, took time to share inspiring moments with the celebrant while also wishing him the best of good tidings.
Town Planner Atebije is a man whose life and career have been defined by dedication, integrity, and a relentless pursuit of excellence in town planning. He is a man of vision and unparalleled commitment to the growth of the town planning profession in Nigeria. As a fellow of the Institute and the immediate past president, his tenure was marked by unwavering dedication, strategic leadership, and a passion for advancing planning ideals.
I want to dedicate the fact that I believe that Nathaniel Atebije is taken up on the next journey of his experiences in life by moving into this advocacy space, by calling us, not only the planners, but also the larger community of our population, that we have obligations to God as enshrined in the scriptures.
I noticed one thing, and I don't know if all of you noticed it. When our birthday boy started dancing here and moving on across the room and up to the stage, I noticed something. You would think that by the time he reached the top, he would slow down. It was the opposite. He was jacked up, and he was dynamic, and he was stronger than when he started here. So God bless you, sir. Long life.
Town planner Nathaniel Atebije could barely hide his excitement to God for a day like this.
Today is a great day. It would naturally have looked like any other day, but it's a day that is so memorable to me because It's a day I remember the grace of God keeping me for 70 years. It's a big feat, but it is the doing of the Lord, and it is marvelous in our eyes.
High point of the event was an academic presentation by the Vice Chancellor of Ahmadu Bello University Zaria, Professor Adamu Ahmad, whose lecture was titled The Ethics of Space and the Moral Imperative of Urban Planning, as well as a tantalizing cultural dance display from the rich Igala culture. Isa Nuhu, ASO TV News.
We were warned about this marriage. Because we did not listen, a young maiden is dead.
Nana, come here. Hi. Why do you speak so freely with a stranger from Ajani?
We were just talking about offering Ojigijag a seat on the council.
The gods be praised. He has 2 wives. So why are you making it look like it is a big deal?
Welcome back. For many of us who have actually watched that particular dance of the Igala culture, you know definitely it comes with so many colors and so many glittering. It's a very beautiful one, having our culture being displayed on a day of advocacy, which is very, very important for many of us. And I'm still here to discuss this particular issue of the Nathaniel Atebije Advocacy Foundation for Planners. Is a very good one that, yes, we are having the Chief Executive Officer and the founder of this particular advocacy group in person of Mr. Nathaniel Atebije, who completed his 70th birthday last week. Good afternoon and welcome to the afternoon edition, sir.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure being in your studio today.
Last week was a very beautiful one for many of us who have actually noticed your role in the field of planning, right from your days in the government and then even outside government. And you've not actually retired. What is the strength behind all this?
Well, people say that where there is the will, there is a way. The flesh can be weak when there is no way and when there is no will. But I think the strength that I have to carry on is derived from the joy, the passion, to see that human beings live in a sane, safe, healthy, aesthetic environment. And as long as we live, I think our strength will go in that direction.
That's a very good one. And just last week, you celebrated your 70th birthday. But for many of us, just like one of the speakers also, he raised question that, are you actually 70? Because you still look so young compared to when we see other people that have attained that particular height.
Well, I'm 70, and today I am above 70.
Oh, that's great.
Some days above 70.
Some days
Why?
above
Because
70.
God has been so good to us, and He has kept us healthy. He has kept us strong, and the days, they just pass like a fleeting breath. For us, it looks like, it looks as if 70 is so long. In God's eyes, it's so short.
So short, yeah.
But by His mercies, we have lived up to this, and God has actually been helping us. To the glory of God, I can say that not when I was a child, it was only when I was a child that I ever went to hospital and was admitted in hospital bed. Since I would say that from the age of 15 or so, from the age of 15 till now, God has been so merciful to us, has given us good health.
Indeed, congratulations,
Thank you very
because
much.
that's a very huge feat. And so much had happened in the past, and so much definitely will be happening in the future. But let us take it back a bit, just a year or two. You were the former president of the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners, and during your tenure, you carried out so many advocacy. And during your tenure, you carried out so many programs and so many so many advice to the government in terms of the policy change. And during your tenure also, One key thing that happened was that when the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, was elected and then was sworn into office, he was able to establish the Urban and Regional Planning Ministry, which happened. And I remember on several counts you've raised this particular issue. How do you feel looking back at what you've done in the NITP?
Well, looking back at what we did, or rather what was done during the time I was the national president, I would also say that I was favored in the sense that there were quite a lot of destiny helpers, good people around me. Members of my executive council were so nice. Members of the board of trustees, they took me just like either their younger brother. So they were ready to advise me and to correct me in areas that I was going off course. And because of that, it was difficult for us to get out of, the set goals. So it was so interesting. And one of the things, like you said, which we continued to advocate for was the issue of having the Ministry for Urban and Regional Planning. Although today they call it Ministry for Housing and Urban Development. Now, housing is just a subset. It's an aspect of urban planning. The whole ministry, actually, if it is properly denominated, or if it is properly named, it should have been the Federal Ministry of Urban and Regional Planning, because housing, some levels of transportation, waste, and all manners of things that happen in the urban area, they are part and parcel of the planning effort. But let it be the way it is. At least it will address the issues of the urban area. Now, why are we saying that it should be a ministry of its own? One of the most critical things that we have on earth, which we cannot really increase, either through science and technology. Yes, even if we can, it is just so infinitesimal, is land. Land that we have is fixed. We cannot increase it. Now, though people are, taking parts, they are recovering parts of the oceans now. It is at a huge cost. It is at a huge cost. Therefore, the solid land, which is good for us to develop, let us put our efforts to manage it well, so that it doesn't, development does not come to us at an outrageous cost. Let me again go back into what the world looks like. The whole of the world space that we have, almost 75% of it is undevelopable. Undevelopable in the sense that it's covered by water, covered by deserts, and places that people cannot actually dwell. So we have about 25% that is left. Out of this 25%, you can also see that more or less than half of it is something that we can develop, because you have hills, you have valleys, you have swampy areas, and some of these things that make it difficult for us to develop. So if we have just so little a space to develop, and we need this place for agriculture, we need for housing, we need it for all manners of things that keep human beings going well, that means we have to keep an eye on it every moment. And that is why land, in fact, even in the process of production, we say that, the factors of production, we talk about land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship. The one among equals. The first among equals is land, because any development that you want to bring up must be on land. It must be on land. Even aeroplanes that fly, they must land. So if that is the case, we must give attention to the management of land, so that we make sure that the right thing happens at the right place at the right time by the right person. And without that, there will be chaos. Without that, there will be anarchy. Without that, we have a lot of problems in the environment that would make life difficult. So that is the compelling reason why it is important that I continue to emphasize the need for a ministry that is purely, and which is not an appendage to any other ministry. because what happened in the past is sometimes they put this ministry in the presidency, they merge it with Ministry of Works, they merge it with other ministries, and it has been an underdog. That profession has been an underdog among some other professions, and that ought not to be. Rather, it should have been the reverse, that other people draw their strength from the plans that the urban planners have made, because they are the one that will now let you know this is where you can develop, this is what you can develop in this place, for it to be profitable, for us to grow economically and socially. That is why that ministry is very, very critical. And at the end of the day, it needs, yes, when you want to appoint people to head such ministries, they make it a political issue. But beyond politics, if you want to get the real facts and figures, or to get to the root of the problem, and to get an answer to the question, it is important that a professional who understands, the system of the environment is appointed to be the minister, or to be, key figures in that place, so that, you are not either misguided, misdirected by people who might not have, good intentions, for the development of the physical space around us.
That's a very good one, because this has actually shown a very clear direction of what you've always chanted for, the need for you to have specificity in the ministries that is being allocated. But then, let us quickly look back to some of what you've done in office during your time as president of the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners. Looking back, what are your memories like?
While I was the national president, we made appeals to government agencies. We had press conferences, we had press releases, and we had stakeholder meetings and so on and so forth. And in this, we spoke out our mind as to how Nigeria would grow well. Now, one of the things God helped us to achieve was, for example, in the institutions of higher learning, we are beginning to see that, as small as these institutions are, we're beginning to see chaos on campuses. And so when we reached out to TED Fund, they understood with us, and they now discovered that it's important that any campus or any institution that wants any facility from them must have the plan, must have the master plan. If it is outdated, let it be updated. And that one is working. I can tell you, at least within the past few weeks, 3 town planners have reached out to me to say that they were already benefiting from that. 2 from Enugu called me, and yesterday, another person, told me that he was doing something in Kogi State, as a fallout of the advocacy we had with TED Fund. Now, that's one. We also reached out to various institutions of government where we told them of the need to plan. And I can tell you on good authority that one of the states that understood the necessity for planning was Edo State. Edo State called consultants to come and plan for them. They did the regional plan and the city review of the city master plan for Edo State. Ogun State did a lot, of course, for the one of Lagos State. They are part and parcel of planning. They are doing well in Lagos State. Recently, in Plateau State, they had a seminar on the essence of planning, and it was very well attended, and then it was a 2-session seminar. In Kogi State, we also they have also created the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, and for a better understanding of this, they called for a stakeholders meeting, which was in, I think, November or early December last year. And that one is working for them. Right now, Kogi State is working on the planning of their special economic zone, the free trade zone that has been granted by federal government. So here and there, people are beginning to understand that, look, it is better for you to plan before execution, because it orders your action, and it helps your action to make sense and meaning. So I think to a good extent, quite a lot of this, and some other states, have started working on the urban and regional planning law. By the grace of God, we also worked on the review of the Nigerian urban and regional planning law at the national level. And as at last count, which was early this year, it had gone through the first reading at the National Assembly. So we are making progress, through this advocacy. And I know that by the grace of God, greater progresses will be made.
Okay, one key aspect that was actually mentioned during that particular day of your celebration was the issue of the topic you used to actually use as the keynote address by the Vice Chancellor of Ahmad Bello University in person of Professor Adamu Ahmad. And the topic is the ethics of space and the moral imperative of urban planning. This topic seemed to be is something that throughout your stay as president, I have not actually seen something like this. Now coming back to the morality of it, and I know the Vice Chancellor said that it is an issue of we're a religious country, so topics like this are very important. So why this topic on that particular day?
Yes, thank you very much. The problem is that in Nigeria, the efforts at planning, or efforts that have been made towards planning, have been frustrated through some level of impunity, rascality, people using the positions given to them by the people through, the ballot boxes. People have been elected into positions of power, and then when they come in, they want to use that position for impunity. And so they grab land, they pick land, and they want to do anything they want, contrary to. So there are quite a lot of illegal developments in the town, and before you know, notes are flying, either from National Assembly, from the presidency, from judiciary, and all manners of places.
To distort the major plan.
Yes, to please allow the person, this belongs to so big man, in quotes. And so such interference has negated the purpose of professionalism. And unfortunately, some professionals, because they want to keep their position, they want to keep their offices, what do? They either bend the cow, or else they are sent out of office. And so they will feel that, okay, if I'm sent out of office, who is going to feed my family? And that type of thing. And so if all things have failed, if they have failed to listen to the voice of men, to the principles established for the purpose of safeguarding our environment, let's take them to God. If they can listen to the voice of God, they go to churches, they go to mosques.
Yes.
So let us go from the angle of God and say, this is what the Holy Scriptures say. And I thank God that, the guest speaker, that they captured the essence of this. And he quoted copiously from the Quran, and he quoted very well from the Bible. And everybody knew that the books of religion have not given us any chance for such attitudes as we put up, to disobey the planning laws, to disobey the plans or master plans that we have made for our cities. We are supposed to obey them, because, such laws are also an offshoot of the books of religion.
That's a very good one, and I'm very grateful that you were able to put up this on that particular day. But then, we'll go on a very short, but before we go on that short break, there are so many issues in the planning sector that are very, very important, and we are happy that, yes, you've now come out with a foundation for planners, and that will definitely push us to the heights that we want in the country. These are some of the things we'll be discussing just after the break. So we've got a very short break, and you definitely stay tuned to listen to the second half of the program, where we'll talk more about the advocacy for planners and how we can get our cities well planned, because there are several issues. For instance, in the FCT here, we are seeing so many improvement in terms of access road and the rest of it, but the planners will always tell you, well, there is a master plan. Are we following it through? So let's go for this break, and when we return, we continue with Mr. Nathaniel Athebije.
The challenge of Nigeria as a free state in 20th century Africa is the need to revive the stature of man in Africa and restore the dignity of man in the world. Nigerians believe passionately in the fundamental human rights. We regard all races of the human family as equal. Under no circumstance shall we accept the idea that the black race is inferior to any other race. I appeal to all our leaders, far and near, to forget the wounds which were inflicted in cause of our internecine altercations. The love of our country should outweigh the love of our pedestals. The enjoyment of individual freedom under the law should mean more to us than our self-centered party programs and manifestos. Common dangers and common enemies alert us on the need for common security. Come and join Abubakar with me, Sardauna, Awolowo, Akitola, Ofarebe, Okpara, Ikoku, Aminu Kano, Ibrahim Imam, and Tata. Let us bind the nation's wound and let us heal the breaches of the past, so that in forging our nation, there shall emerge on this continent a hate-free, fear-free, and greed-free people who shall be in the vanguard of a world task force whose assignment is not only to revive the stature of man in Africa, but to restore the dignity of man in the world.
Welcome back from that break, and let us go straight to the advocacy that planners will definitely have under Mr. Nathaniel Athebije's foundation. Sir, you've been a major pusher, just like we rightly stated earlier on. Now you have a foundation for planners to actually see forward to the future. What's your idea? What's the mission of this particular advocacy foundation?
Thank you very much again. The foundation is a brainchild of vision. Like I've always told people, I don't do things anyhow. I pray to God, I listen to God, God instructs me, He directs me what to do. And while working towards the Thanksgiving for the 70 years of living on this planet Earth, God gave me an idea that, look, let us establish a foundation to continue talking to people about the essence of planning until it becomes a household word that everybody will know that, look, you either plan or you fail. You either plan or you perish. You either plan, or you will not be able to live well. So these are things that, were just coming up in my mind. And so when I got that inspiration, I couldn't hide it from members of the committee. I said, well, that's what inspiration I'm just getting. That we should have a planning advocacy outfit, so that we'll teach people how to be committed to the creation of a sane, livable, pleasant human environment, particularly for us in Nigeria. Because Nigerians have become so used to poor living standards. They like living in slums. Although it is not their making, but people do not even appreciate good environments. And until and unless we make people to know that, look, Nigeria is Africa's most populous nation, we should be showing the light to other people. People today are talking to us about Kigali in Rwanda, that it is an exemplary city in terms of cleanliness. Where were we? Where was Abuja? Where was Lagos? That Kigali will come and overtake Nigeria. There, they are now planning they are respecting planning, they know how to manage their wastes, and so on and so forth. And so why can't we do it in Nigeria? We have gone outside this country to so many other places, and we have seen what planning has done, in the lives of people. Outside this nation, we have seen quite a lot of things that, planning has done. But our own, we continue to cry about urbanization. Urbanization is a natural phenomenon because right from the day that the earth was created, God said that people should, the first parents we had, he said, go and multiply and replenish the earth. And it is the replenishment of the earth, that population continues to grow, and then the cities we live in continue to grow. Now, our own is to manage it. And so that is what we have not been careful about. We just believe that, okay, let us do it anyhow. We want to live lives that are temporary in nature with very, very terrible consequences on the long run. And this is what we want to deliver Nigeria from, so that we can live in spaces that are sane, rational, in spaces that are livable, in spaces that are functional, in spaces that are aesthetically pleasant for people, healthy, and safe for people to live. These are the qualities we want to have in the Nigerian environment. Abuja is trying, but then we can see that it is still not the best.
You still mean, despite what we have, we are not still yet. We are not yet there.
We are not there.
But then people will definitely say, we've seen so many roads crisscrossing from one axis to the other. But just recently, I had a conversation with a town planner, actually, who attended one of your planning events recently. He's also one of the commissioner, I think, or a director general of their state planning. And he said, look, Issa, what we are saying now, yes, we all want to have more roads. We all want to have more spaces where people can actually do things well. But we are still deviating from the planning of this particular city. How true is that?
Yes. Let me, in the first place, say that planning is not done once and for all. Why? Because the beneficiaries of planning are human beings, and human beings are not static. Their tastes will change with economy, with technology, and so many other factors. Yeah. So there's some level of dynamism in terms of planning, and if that is so, and that is why we make provision, for the review of master plans. There are some decisions that we take, for example, when the decision to create Abuja was there, we had what we call oil boom. And we thought it was going to be like that forever. Quite a lot of decisions were taken. Some of them were so ambitious, But over time, we have now seen that, things cannot go that way again. Now, when Abuja was created, technology was not as much as we have now, so quite a lot of things. For example, today, this small space that I have, quite a lot of things can happen. I can sleep in this place, and then have, with this machine in front of me, I can talk to the whole world, I can connect with the whole world. Yeah. So the spaces that I might need, as at 1979, when the master plan was finalized, I may not need as much a space, a space like that again today. And so tastes are changing, people are changing, population is increasing. And so we have to put all these factors together. So normally, in a rapidly growing environment like Abuja, we say after every 5 years, let us review the master plan to compare where we started from with where we are now. Yes. Whether there are other directions that we have to go, then we do that, and on and on. Yes, but that's the challenge we have had with Abuja Master Plan. Abuja Master Plan was very well conceived, and unfortunately, some of the areas have been abused in the sense that land uses have been changed, and some of the other places, wrong decisions have been made. But it's not as if it is so fatal that these things cannot be corrected. I think from what I heard, if it is true, there are plans right now underway for the review of Abuja Master Plan. Okay. But it's better late than never. I think that is all we'll say about that one. Yes, it's better late than never. If we have good consultants that are able to, is where we are now is more or less a management approach that we are going to bring into the issue of land uses in Abuja.
Are this part of the advocacy that your group will
Definitely,
be taking on?
Yes. We have quite a lot of things we want to talk about. For example, one of the greatest challenges we have, when I just drove up here now, I saw, just looking across the road, the places that were supposed to be green, they are now built up. Abuja was supposed to be a garden city where at least about 33% of Abuja would have been green. But today, I believe and I know that we have less than 20%, as being green, because quite a lot of these green areas have been tampered with. Some people misinterpreted these things to be land banks. Yes, we could raise land banks, but there is an extent that people, look at hills and mountains that that were supposed to be buffers, to give us exchange of air for respiration. All of them have been cleared. If you, for example, now if you from Airport Junction, Airport Junction towards Giri, if you look particularly on the right-hand side, it looks like a desert. All the trees have been cut down.
And these are things of major concern.
I'm telling you, and you look into the town, within the town, quite a lot of green spaces have been converted, even to stream valleys.
We've seen the shrinking of the Jabi Lake, for instance. We see, is it reclamation of the land, of the water there down?
These are some of the challenges that we have. So such decisions that are inconsistent with the master plan, there are things that should be reviewed. And I think that, I don't know who the consultants that are going to work on this review of this master plan. I hope they will be able to call stakeholders so that they will sensitize stakeholders. Stakeholders should be able to speak out their minds, because planning is for people. And so if you sit down, and then you conceive what you think should be the ideal for people, and you don't carry them along, that is where we have problems with the implementation of of plans. So I hope that the consultants which they are going to appoint will be able to take the people along. And again, it is important that they should be indigenous consultants. Nigerian town planners have come of age. In the days when we started Abuja, how many planners did we have? We didn't have many of them. But today we have very, very highly qualified town planners of international capacity. So there is no need for us to go and consult town planners from outside Nigeria. First of all, allow Nigerians to be the consultants. If at all there is any area of need in terms of professional calling which they are insufficient about, allow the Nigerian planners to get their own expatriate contacts to bring them in. Then we can own the plan. Let me give you an example. If you look at Asokoro, and you compare it with, in terms of detailed planning, you look at Asokoro, compare it with what we have in Utako and Jabi. You don't need to be told. The roads in Utako and Jabi are more generous than what we have in Asokoro. Yes. Asokoro, the roads are so narrow, because they use the ideals of their own country to make such plans, and they are not good enough for us. But here we can drive very freely. On this side, all the places that were done by the Nigerian planners, they are better than the expatriate planners.
Okay, if you are to meet with the Minister of FCT now, we've seen so many issues of bridges, roads, opening of places and the rest going on. As the Chief Executive Officer of your foundation, the Nathaniel Atebije Advocacy Foundation for Planners, what would be your major advice to him with all we are saying in the city?
First of all, he is to be appreciated. When you look at the roadworks that have come up since the current minister came on board, it's fantastic. You give it to him. He has done well. But what is important is that, roads, they have functions. They lead to places. Where are they leading to? And so if we are doing that, there are places that do not have roads yet. Some places in phase 2 of Abuja, they don't have infrastructure. Why not let us give them the infrastructure they need? I like the connections that he is making between phase 1 and phase 2. For example, the road, the Goodluck Ebele Jonathan road, fantastic road. But unfortunately, I don't know what is the problem with that road. That is taking quite a long time. I know that there are quite a lot of bridges on that road. And these are some of the problems that, the international consultants have, created for us. Because if a Nigerian planner was doing it, we're not going to have as many bridges as that. Because these people are taking roads through difficult places. For them, maybe they estimated the quantum of money we had during the oil boom. Yeah. And they thought that anything was, yes, everything is possible, but for God's sake, we should have been more reasonable about the alignments of some of our roads. And that would have saved a lot of costs, and it would have been easier for us to construct the roads, but that is part of history now. I thank God for what the minister is doing. He's doing well in terms of road construction. But let us also prioritize so that we know the places that need the roads first. Look at a place like Durumi that is just there. Durumi would have been one of the earliest places where we have infrastructure well laid out. But up to now, we still do not have enough of infrastructure in Durumi and some other areas in phase 2. Incidentally, Durumi is the earlier part of phase 1. I'm sorry, the earlier part of phase 2, because the Nnamdi Azikiwe is the dividing line between phase 1 and phase 2. Now, you have some other places, if not that mass housing has gone into Kukwaba. Of course, even what we have in Kukwaba is an aberration of the plan. It was supposed to be green, throughout, but today it has now become brown because everything has been given to housing. Such change of land use would have been a factor of, consultation with all critical stakeholders. But I'm not sure that anybody was consulted. The public was not consulted. All we will see, you just see buildings coming up, and the whole place has been taken by estate. So let the review of the master plan let there be some seriousness in it, so that we can get what we think is what we need.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nathaniel Atebije, and once more congratulations on your 70 years plus birthday celebration. It's indeed a wonderful time with you, and always a delight listening to you from your professional state. This is how far we can go today on the afternoon edition, discussing with the founder and the CEO of Nathaniel Atebije Foundation Advocacy for Planners. A very good one to continue from where he stopped as the president of the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners. My name is Isanu. Have a wonderful day and stay blessed.